Hello everyone, if you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be my final vlog for Spookoplathon and my October TBR, which I sort of combined together. I'm gonna go ahead and start off by running through everything I've read so far in this month. I haven't done a ton of vlogs. I've done 2 others. I will link last week's up above. So let's go ahead and just run through. I did write them down. So I had 5 picks from my Wheel of TBR. I have read 3 of the 5. And then I had 7 picks for Spookoplathon, and I have read 5 of the 7. Now, there is some overlap. So the remaining books that I need to read are the ones that we are going to focus on in this vlog. Today is Saturday, October 28th. I am on what my district calls fall break. We don't get a full week. We get 4 days. So I had yesterday off, then I have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I go back to work on Tuesday. Tuesday is Halloween, the last day of the year, so I will include that day in this vlog as well. And my goal is going to be to read the remaining books that I have left on my TBR. So one of them I will be reading in the vlog is The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. I did read the first chapter of this in last week's vlog, and I'm decently intrigued. It's about a woman who purchases a murder house, and some strange things start happening once she's in the house. So that's this one. I also need to read The Glacier by Kim Liggett. This is about a girl who lives in a community where when the girls turn 16, they are in what's termed the Glacier. They're sent out into the wilderness to release their magic, to purify them for marriage. I read the first bit of this one as well. This one doesn't have chapters, so I did read the first one of this. I think this is the one that I'm probably going to start with because I think it's going to read the quickest, but we'll see. Then I am also listening to the audio of The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I am currently on chapter 21. Yep, chapter 21, which is page 217. So I've got this much left. This is the audiobook I'm listening to. This will definitely be done by the end of the month. So I'm not stressing about this one. It's the physical reading that's going to be difficult for me. And then I also still need to read the remaining stories in the language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, because I keep saying in the vlogs that I was going to read it, and I did not. I haven't touched this since I actually read the first story in last week's vlog. So I'm on the second story. I believe there are 6. Let me double check that. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, there's 6 stories. I've read 1 of them. I have 5 left. So because there are only 4 days left in the month, I'm going to read 2 stories today. I am actually going to read them. I promise. They're going to get read today. So I can go ahead and get this to the point where I can just read 1 story per day for the remainder of the days. So that is the other one. So we've got a lot to read in 4 days. So yeah. That's going to be what we get up to in this vlog. I do want to mention, as you saw, I did read The Clue in the Crumbling Wall, which was the 22nd Nancy Drew book. I mentioned in a vlog earlier in the month, I think the first one, that I was unable to find this one on Internet Archive. It was not available. It was currently unavailable. I found this original edition for pretty cheap on eBay, so I picked it up. Bought it. I'm happy to have it on my shelf, an original Nancy Drew from 1945. I enjoyed this one. I felt like this was probably one of the better ones in terms of combining the 2 mysteries together. I do want to point out that if you are going to read the original Nancy Drews, keep in mind they were published in the 1930s and 40s, and as such, you are going to have some racist verbiage. Anytime they write a character of color, they use a really unflattering and inappropriate dialect to show how they're speaking, and that's for Black characters, brown characters, any character of color. It's happened in multiple of these books. And in this one, we also have very ableist language when it comes to a character who suffered a disability. So keep that in mind. I don't want to say it's a product of its times, but it kind of is. And as we've gone through and gotten more politically correct, I don't like that term, but you know what I mean, more appropriate in the language that we use, it becomes very starkly obvious that these were written with very racist and ableist overtones. So I just want to point that out. I did enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars, which is what I give all of the Nancy Drews except for like a couple, which I only gave 2. So yes, this one's done. Otherwise, we would be attempting to read 5 books in this vlog. So this one is finished. I got it done in a couple of hours, and it was a good time. Just keep in mind, this is definitely historical. So anyway, yes, 1 book done, 4 books left, one of which is like over 50% of the way done with The Last Housewife. So that's where we are. My plans for this weekend include lots of relaxing. I also have some things that I would like to watch because we're getting towards Halloween. We're like 3 days away. So typically during the Halloween season, I will rewatch Arsenic and Old Lace, and I will rewatch Clue. So that's on the agenda. I'm planning on doing that this weekend. I'm gonna save Clue for actual Halloween. That's like my Halloween video. But I also need to watch the 3rd installment of the Fear Street trilogy, I guess, that's on Netflix. They're based on the R.L. Stine books of the same name. I was a huge fan of the Fear Street books when I was little, so of course I had to when I was like a teenager. And so I really want to watch the adaptations just to see how they compare. So I've watched the first 2, need to watch the 3rd. So that is the other thing on the agenda, watching some actual new TV with the Fear Street and then rewatching a couple of old favorites. So that's all we're gonna get up to, y'all. I'm gonna bring you along all the way through the 31st of October, and we will see what else happens. I will share it if and when something exciting does happen. But right now, that's enough talking. I have 2 videos to film very quickly for this week, and then we're gonna get reading. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do the first story of this first, and then I'm going to start reading The Glacier again. Then I will read the other story of this later. So these are the first 2 we're gonna start with. That's enough talking. I'll see you when I have an update. Hello everyone, happy Sunday. I have a bit of a reading update, so let's go ahead and just roll through them. So I did just finish listening to more of The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I am currently on page 289, which is chapter 32. It's like 75-ish%. So I'm thinking I will probably have this done tomorrow, and then I can give you like full thoughts, because the last chunk of this is actually the first chapter of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So this book actually ends on page 364. So I have less than 100 pages left. So I will be finishing this tomorrow, give you full thoughts then. I also did read some of The Glacier by Kim Liggett. I did not get as far as I was hoping to, but I did read the first third. So I'm on page 139. Considering how large the font is, this is actually a bit of a slow read, at least for me personally. I am intrigued right now to figure out like what exactly is going on. So as I mentioned, we're following Tierney. She is in her glacier where the girls are like sent out into the wilderness to supposedly get rid of their magic so that they can come back to the town and be purified and ready for marriage. And the girls have arrived like at the camp that they're going to spend the next year at, and there is a girl that Tierney kind of doesn't get along with, I guess. Her name is Kirsten, and there's like a very clear division between the girls. So you have like the group of girls that are following Kirsten, and then the group of girls that are staying with Tierney, and other than that, not a whole lot has happened. So yeah, I am hoping this picks up. It's a little bit slow. So I'm gonna do my best to finish this today, but it's definitely a slower read than I was anticipating. So I will come back and chat with you once I've gotten to the next third of the book, and that will be page 276. So I have over 100 pages to read, and then I'll come and chat with you about it. I'm not sure what to think. I'm not loving it, which is a bummer because I was really looking forward to this book, and I'm hoping that it gets better. So that's the update on that. I also did read another story in the language of Thorns. I did not do 2 of them yesterday, but I did read The Too Clever Fox. I gave it 4 stars. I felt like it was very well written, very atmospheric, very creepy, had a nice twist at the end. and I very much enjoyed it. The next one that I'm going to read today is called The Witch of Duva, and I feel like I've read this one before, but nothing on Goodreads says that I've read it before, so I don't know, but I'm almost positive that this has to do with the Darkling's mom. But it's been a long time since I've read the original Grisha trilogy, so maybe I'm not right on that. But isn't her name Magda? I'm like almost positive that her name's Magda, and I'm pretty sure this is about her. But I feel like I've read it, so I'm gonna read it again. If I did indeed read it once already, I'll give you my thoughts and rating at the end. Because I am going to be trying to finish this entire book, I don't think I'm going to do a second story in here, but we'll see like how time shakes out and things like that. But I will at least do The Witch of Duva, which will bring me to page 117. And then there's like 4 stories left. So yeah. So far we're doing really well with this though. I've given both stories that I've read so far 4 stars, which is better than any other short story collection I have read this year. So we'll call that a win just right there. So yes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more stories left. So I'll read The Witch of Duva today, and we'll just see if I get time to do another one. Otherwise, we'll do it at a different time. So then I'll get to reading on this. I'm thinking I'll get to like 200-ish. Let's see where it actually has like a break. 205. So I'll read this chunk and then take another break, etc. Because this is definitely not one that I'm feeling like super engaged with, where I'm gonna like read it straight through unless something picks up, because it's definitely slow. So I think taking this in chunks is gonna be what I have to do to get through it. So again, I'll come chat with you once I'm at 2/3 of the way through, give you a little reading update. Then I will probably read the next story in this one, and then go back to this one to finish it off, possibly. So I'll probably set myself some sprints today, read that way, see if I can't get through this in a decently fast pace, because as I mentioned, I'm not loving it so far. So pretty sad about it. But yes, that's all I have to share with you right now. I will chat with you later once I have an update. Hey y'all, it's like 4:10. It's reading update time. I have reached the 2/3 mark, so I am on page 276. And my thoughts about this haven't really changed that much. I will say it did pick up a bit, thankfully. So I found myself engaged enough to like read consistently through it, although I did take a break and then just did the rest of what I just read because I wanted to play some Sims 4. It was Halloween in my Sims game, so 'tis the season, so I wanted to play that out. And then I went ahead and went back to this. I was listening to like some like Halloween ambient music from YouTube while I read this. So it nicely set the vibe and everything, but I am not loving this as much as I was hoping I would, so I don't really have a whole lot to say. I will save thoughts, I think, until I'm actually finished, which should be today. I still have plenty of time to get this read. So the next point that I'm going to come chat with you will be page 338. So I'm going to read this chunk. It's like 68 pages, and then I have about that much left to finish the book off. So I will come back and chat with you once I've reached that point. But I'm going to go ahead and like stop reading for a bit, do something else just to break up the day a little bit. I would really like to watch the third Fear Street movie tonight. So I need to get this done in order for me to do that, but I need to take a bit of a break. So I'm thinking I'm going to take about an hour break and come back to this book around 5-ish, read for a bit more, come back and talk to you, finish this off, give a final rating. And then I will, before I go to bed, I will be reading the next story and The Language of Thorns as well, but I'll probably save that update for tomorrow. So that's where we are, and that's all I have for you. It's really been a very uninteresting day, but I've at least made some nice progress in this book. So I will come back and chat with you with that reading update when I get to that point. So I will see you whenever that is. All right, y'all, it's going on 7:30, but I did finish The Glacier by Kim Liggett. I waffled a lot about my rating for this, but I'm going to give it 3 stars because ultimately there were just some things about it that didn't work for me personally. So I can't give it a 4, so it has to be a 3. One of the things, and I talked about this already, is the pacing. I had a very hard time like getting into this story initially. It did pick up around the 1/3 mark and moved at a better clip. I'm like the odd one out too. A lot of people think like the middle is where it like goes off the rails a bit, but I just had a hard time with the beginning. So I felt like once I was into the story, I was reading it a lot more quickly. I also just really wish this book had not had a romance factor. I feel like there could have been a different way to do it where there wasn't a romance, because I don't really feel like the romance really worked with like the overall plot of the story. That's just my opinion, but didn't love the romance. A couple things I did really enjoy though. I did love Tierney and Gertie's friendship. I thought that was very well written. I also liked how she did not shy away from how brutal this book got, and that brutality came from the girls themselves. So I'm gonna like read a quote that I really liked. This was on page 345, but it says, "We hurt each other because it's the only way we're permitted to show our anger. When our choices are taken from us, the fire builds within. Sometimes I feel like we might burn down the world to cindery bits with our love, our rage, and everything in between." And I feel like that kind of really sums up the girls' relationship with each other and how toxic girls can be to each other when they feel like someone has something that they want, that they're jealous of, trying to one-up people, etc. That's all in this book, and I did enjoy that part of it. But ultimately I have to give it 3 stars because it just was not my favorite, which is a bummer because this was one of my most anticipated reads of like a book on my physical TBR. And I'm really sad that it wasn't a 5-star, a 4-star. I am still going to keep this book though because it's really pretty. The pink works for me. I would like to have it on my shelf, but I do not think I will ever reread it. And again, I'm sad that I didn't love it. So that's all I have to say about this one. It is done. I'm going to eat some dinner. Yes, it's late, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to eat and then I will read the next story in the language of Thorns. I will save the update for that for tomorrow, as I already mentioned. But I do have time to watch the Fear Street movie that I was wanting to watch tonight. So that's what I'm going to do with the rest of my evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Hey y'all, happy Monday. I have a couple of reading updates for you. So I was out running errands and I did finish listening to the audio of The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. So I think I'm going to give this one 4 stars. I actually quite enjoyed this one. It is dark. There are a lot of trigger warnings, particularly violence against women. That is not like glossed over. It is in depth, detailed. So check out her trigger warnings. I'm pretty sure she has them on her website because there are a bunch of them, but I really did like this quite a lot. There were some nice twists, some things I didn't see coming, and overall I felt like this was a really solid thriller. So I'm really happy that I enjoyed this one. I'm giving it the same rating that I gave In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, so it's quite possible that Ashley Winstead is just going to be one of those 4-star authors, but that's okay. I did really enjoy it. So would recommend if you are at all interested. I felt like it was very well done. So I finished that one. I also did read the next story in the language of Thorns last night, which was called The Witch of Duva. I mentioned that I thought it might be about the Darkling's mom. It's not. I think they just share the same name, but this was another 4-star. I really enjoyed this one. It's kind of like a take on Hansel and Gretel, with some twists. Like once again, there was a really solid twist at the end of the story that I did not see coming. So I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. That means I've given all 3 stories I've read in this short story collection 4 stars each, which is much better than I typically do with short stories. So the one that I'm going to read today is called Little Knife. And then I also think I'm probably going to go ahead and tackle The Soldier Prince. Those are some shorter ones. And the last story in this book is quite long. So it's all of this, which is by far the longest story. So it starts on 191 and it ends on page 272. So it's a lengthy one. So I'm gonna save that to read in one sitting probably tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead, try to tackle these next 2 today. I'll come back and chat about them once I have thoughts and a rating. The main focus for today though is going to be The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. This is the last book on my October TBR that I have not started yet, aside from the first chapter that I read in last week's vlog. So I would really like to get the bulk of this read today because I do work tomorrow and I'll only have like the little bit of time once I'm home from work. So this book has, let's see, 268 pages. So I would really like to do like 3/4 of it today, but I will come back and talk to you after the first 100 pages and we'll just take it in like 100-page bursts. And that's how that's gonna go. Now, I did run errands as I mentioned, so let's run through where I went. I didn't film any of it because I was listening to the last Housewife while I was doing it, but I did stop by Petco. I needed to get more of these little alligator whimsy chews because my little fur baby loves these, like devours them. So I picked up some more. They had a sale, buy 5, get 2 free. They always have that. So I picked up more of them for him because he's on his last one. And the only thing left on it are like 2 legs and the head because he's eaten pretty much the rest of it. So if you were not aware, hamsters' teeth are always growing. So they have to have things to chew on in order to keep them the proper length. So got him more of those. I also popped by Michael's because the Petco and the Michael's are right next door to each other. And I picked up more garlands because I've been putting them along the front of the circulation desk in my library. So I picked up some more seasonal type ones. They had all of their fall stuff marked down for like 60% off. So I went in, grabbed some stuff. I also got a Christmas one. But the first one is just these pumpkins with these pom-poms, which I thought were super cute. I think I might actually keep this one here to like string across my filming area. So that's that one right there. And then I picked up one that has acorns on it. Let me see if I can find it. Acorns like this. This is the one I'm going to take to school because it's got nice fall vibes. It'll be good for November. I try to avoid like straight up holidays because I don't know which of my students celebrate and which ones don't. Halloween in particular is one that a lot of families in our area do not celebrate. So I want to just kind of keep it generic so it's not like Halloween, it's more fall. So I have pumpkins up right now, but I'm gonna switch them out for these acorns because I thought that these were really cute and you can't go wrong with 60% off. I'm like fighting to untangle them. There we go. So they just look like this, little stitched acorns, super cute. So I will be taking that one to school and I will trade out the pumpkins for that one on Wednesday. And then I did pick up a couple Christmas ones as well because they also were 40% off, so these are super tangled up. But I picked up one that has just like Christmas lights because I figured that was a little bit more generic and I really, really thought it was adorable. So let me see if I can get it untangled. So it's just got little like Christmas lights hanging from like a gold string and then they are glitter. So that's the one I'm going to take to school for the month of December. And then the one I'm going to keep here has candy canes on it. I'm trying to keep these so that they're not going to get tangled up. That's the problem with garlands. They get tangled up. Okay, that's better. And then I just got this one that has like little candy canes on it, which I will use for my filming area. So those are 2 of the stops that I made. I did also pick up just like a little decor thing, because again, it was 60% off, so this can be my fall one. Right now I have a haunted house up. I know I said that I avoid holidays, but like the kids loved the haunted house one. And a lot of them, even though they don't celebrate Halloween, they go to haunted houses, so it's very interesting. And then I did pick up this little like pumpkin wagon that I'm gonna use on my book stack here at home to replace the ghost, because obviously the ghost is gonna have to go since we're getting into November. So that's this one. So that's what I picked up. It was on sale. Everything was marked down. So if you have a Michael's and you want some seasonal decor, go ahead and check it out. Then I went to the library because I needed to pick up some holds for some books that I'm going to use with my students. So I picked up this Elephant and Piggy book, which is Should I Share My Ice Cream? This is by Mo Willems. I also picked up I'm a Shark. This is by Bob Shea. We're going to use this for like an illustration lesson. And then I picked up Unicorn Thinks He's Pretty Great, which is another like illustration unit. So that's what I picked up. Those were my school books. But then while I was there, I decided to look and see if they had any of the books that are on my November TBR. I will link that up above. It's the video that went up before this one, because this weekend is the Final Book Support Group readathon, and I would like to read at least one of these during that time, but I know I need like a shorter one because of the fact that I'm really only going to have Saturday and Sunday, even though the readathon runs Friday through Monday. So I did find the 6th Gallagher Girls book on the shelf, so I picked that one up. I need to read this one. It's on my November TBR. It will finish the Gallagher Girls series by Ellie Carter. And then I also found Hereafter by Kate Bryan, which is the 2nd book in her Shadowland series, which is also on my November TBR. So I'm thinking I'll do one of these for the weekend and cross those off. I will also be listening to the audio of Always and Forever Laura Jean, which is the 3rd and final book in her To All the Boys I've Loved Before series. So I'll talk about all of that in the next vlog, because I will be vlogging the Final Book Support Group readathon, but I just thought I'd go ahead and share that I did pick those up, as well as the books for school. Then I went grocery shopping, came home, ate some lunch, and now it's time to actually do some reading. So it's going on 1:30. I am going to edit my video that goes up tomorrow first, so that I can get that in the process of like being uploaded. And then we're gonna go ahead and tackle this. I'm gonna do like an hour-long sprint, for lack of a better word, see how far I can get. I would love to be able to get 100 pages into it, but we will see how it goes. Right now I'm on chapter 2, which is page 15, so obviously I haven't made very much of a dent, but that is what I read in last week's vlog. So enough talking, let me clean all this up. We're gonna go ahead and start reading The Stranger Upstairs. I do want to watch Arsenic and Old Lace tonight, so I'm going to give myself till about 7:30-ish to read, because I want to have time to watch that video. I purchased it on Amazon Prime last year because I love to watch it around this time. It is like a Halloween movie without being like definitively Halloween, but it's set during Halloween. So yes, that's that. Let's stop talking. I'll check in with you when I have a reading update, so I will see you in a little bit. Hello everyone, happy Tuesday, happy Halloween. I still have my cat ears on from work today because I did just get home from work like 5 minutes ago or so. I want to go ahead and talk very quickly about The Stranger Upstairs. I managed to read quite a bit of this yesterday, so I am currently on page 202, and there are 268 pages in the book. So my plan is to sit down, knock out these last few pages so that I can spend the rest of the night watching Clue, which is my favorite movie for Halloween, because your girl's not into scary movies. I like the funny, goofy, camp type movies, because I had Arsenic and Old Lace, which I watched last night, as you already saw, and then Clue tonight. Clue is available on Amazon Prime, so if you have not watched it, I would recommend. It's a good time. But I am on chapter 29, so I have some thoughts. I will say I did not do as many updates on this as I was initially planning on doing, and I don't even know if I've done like any, because I truly can't even remember if I came and talked to you. But this book took me a bit to get into, so I felt like it was a little slow at the start. It was definitely trying to like set up things, set up the plot, give some backstory. You are following Sarah, our main character. Her and her husband have just purchased a murder house, and Sarah wants to renovate it and then resell it for a lot of money. You learn straight off that there are some things that are a little off about both Sarah and her husband, but you don't really start finding out what that is until after the halfway point. For me, that is a little too late to leave any kind of reveal. So I was getting to the point where I was getting frustrated with the story because things kept being hinted at or like mentioned in an oblique way, and you knew there was more to it, but you didn't know what it was. And I'm all for suspense, but this I felt went a little too long. So I was a little bit irritated, but after the halfway point, I do feel like the story picked up quite a bit, and we did get some answers to the questions that I had. There are still a few that haven't been answered. This book is also told in an interesting style. So you have the main narrative, which is Sarah's narrative, but then we're getting like articles from this online blogger who's like blogging about things that haven't yet happened in the narrative. So you're getting like hints as to what's coming, and I don't know if those necessarily were the best choice, because again, it adds to my already high frustration level with not knowing what's going on, because then you know some other things are going to happen that you sort of know about but don't fully know about. I don't know. I don't know that I'm explaining it well, but I just felt frustrated with like some of the narrative choices. Sarah is also not a very likable character, which is fine. I'm not saying you can't have unlikable characters. I've read several books with unlikable characters and liked them just fine, but I do think leaving some of the reveals to the point that the author left them was not the best choice for me personally. That being said, there is something very engaging about this book, because I didn't even really come and talk to you. I just read almost straight through, especially once I hit like the halfway point. So I read until like 7:30, 7:45-ish last night, and that's where I stopped, was page 202. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off. I will come back and chat with you, give you my rating. Right now I don't really know what I'm thinking the rating's going to be, because there is something about it that makes you not want to put it down. I personally don't like the word unputdownable. I just think it's a dumb word, but that would be a word that you could use to describe this. And now that I'm past the halfway point, it's a very quick read. So we'll see how long it takes me to knock out the last like 60 pages or so. Once I've done so, I will come back and chat with you and let you know my final thoughts. And then we will settle in for a hopefully chill and calm Halloween night. So I will see you in a little while, minus the cat ears. Hey y'all, it's like going on 10 o'clock. I just finished watching Clue, which rounds out my Halloween nicely, and I did finish reading The Stranger Upstairs. So I didn't come and talk to you right after finishing it because I needed to kind of think about my rating and things like that. I think ultimately I'm going to give this 3 stars. I think this is the definition of a popcorn thriller, as in you can like sit down and get through it in one sitting. It's entertaining. It's not too in-depth. For me, it didn't evoke a lot of emotion. The one character that I felt for is the cat. The cat does not die, so I do want to put that out there, but I would like caution that the cat does become ill. So if that's really hard for some people to read, keep that in mind. This has some horror elements in it, which I wasn't really expecting, but they're mostly in line with like true crime documentaries that go like a little bit more in depth into things, or like true crime shows. So I watch a lot of true crime shows. I kind of will just put that on and that'll just be like background noise to me. I can watch those without any issue. So that's me personally. For some people, I know they can't do that. So again, keep that in mind. But that's kind of the level of horror you're getting from here. There were some twists that came out at the end, which I appreciated. But overall, I feel like the fact that the first half of the book was a big slog to get through, and as I mentioned, I was more frustrated with the lack of information than anything else that was really happening in the pages. Means that I can't give this more than 3 stars, even if I did fly through the second half. So there were things I enjoyed. Again, the twist at the end, didn't see that coming, and I enjoyed the atmosphere, the suspenseful writing style, the sense of danger. Because Sarah, the main character, is just really going through it, and some of it is her own making. She deserves a lot of what she is experiencing for various reasons, but it definitely makes for like an unsettling read. So I would say the vibe is very good with this one. I just didn't necessarily love the execution. So I'm going to give it 3 stars, and this officially rounds out my October TBR. The only book I have not finished is The Language of Thorns. So yesterday, because this took me so long to get through, I did not read any of The Language of Thorns. Same thing tonight because I wanted to watch Clue. So basically I finished reading this, ate some dinner, and then watched Clue, and now I'm going to bed. So I didn't do any reading on The Language of Thorns tonight either. So my hope, my goal, is going to be to finish that book. There are 3 stories left that I need to read. So I am going to finish them 1 story Wednesday, 1 story Thursday, 1 story Friday. And when I start vlogging again this weekend for the Final Book support group, I will mention like the overall rating for the short story collection in there, and also link my Goodreads review, which is where I will have listed like ratings for each of the individual stories. So look for that vlog, and you can also click on those links if you want to know how The Language of Thorns went overall. But that is going to be the only thing I'm carrying over into November, and I consider that pretty darn good. So October has actually worked out to be my 2nd highest reading month. I just like put the page numbers in. So I read a total of 4,851 pages in October. That's a lot. Of course, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell was 1,006 pages. So obviously that inflates it a bit. But I did read 12 books. That is the 2nd highest total. So I have 2 months where I read 13, and then I've got 3 months where I read 12. And then this is the 2nd highest page count number. So pretty good reading month. I'm pretty proud of myself. I got through some seasonal / spooky reads that I was really hoping to get to, and overall had a good reading month. So no complaints. Again, my next vlog will be the Final Book support group weekend vlog, and you can tune in to that if you would like to see what I'm going to read. So other than that, I'm going to sign this one off because I'm tired and I'm ready for bed. So I hope you enjoyed coming along with me this extended weekend. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.